Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Today we're going to show you a really neat picture that was up in Upper Bingham. It's an aerial tram terminal building, and there's a lot going on in this picture. So stay tuned. Today we're going to talk about a picture. I love this picture. There's so much going on. Let's first show you where it was at in the canyon. See the red dot? Now I'm using this map because it's the only one I have that shows the United States mines aerial tram line going through the picture. And that's mainly what the picture is about. This also gives us a timeline because that U.S. aerial tram ran from 1902 to 1914. So let's see what we can learn about this picture. Head house is written on the picture, or we could say terminal or transfer station. Cable and buckets came down from Galena Gulch from the Old Jordan mine. That was the first claim at Bingham. They added a 1,700 feet branch line late 1904 to the Galena mine was up in that Galena Gulch. Map of Galena Gulch. Now look at the Old Jordan mine. Then Upper Bingham will be named Copperfield in 1914. So this area is still called Upper Bingham. Here's a great picture of that upper tram terminal at the Old Jordan mine. It's the only one I know of. Then a close-up of that terminal. Stanford Far Insurance maps, 1904, 1907, and 1913, shows the transfer station. It enabled the aerial tram to change directions, coming down from Galena Gulch, approximately running west to northeast, changing to south to northeast, over the mountain to Lower Bingham or Frogtown, meeting up with trains from the valley on the way to the smelters. This picture shows buckets and aerial tram lines going right over the school. Then here's a photo of one of those tram towers. That's at the bottom right. Here's an excellent picture of the aerial tram towers and cables coming down the steep mountain to the lower terminal. And that was at Frogtown. And here's a picture of those lower tram buildings. They was huge down in that Frogtown area. They could also be called the tipple. And so this is the one from the U.S. mine. There was another one down here from Highland Boy Mines. Let's show some different views of that transfer station. This one was taken high on top of Boston Consolidated Copper, and it's dated September 3rd, 1907. If you focus down top right, you can see the trestle, the aerial tram towers, with lines and ore loading station. There's a smaller ore loading station with vertical siding right there on the hillside. But the next photo really shows that area. Now this is looking down the canyon. A train is crossing over the trestle, and it's from the Copper Belt Railroad, and it was probably a Shea steam engine. You can see that vertical siding loading station and the transfer station bottom left. The large building in front is the United States Mining's sawmill. Now this can be seen in the 1907 Stanford map. Note down the canyon the three smokestacks of the Niagara Tunnel. This will be a landmark in Copperfield for many years to come. Back to our picture, you can see the U.S. sawmill bottom right. Now notice all the wood stacked up all around it. The mines required a lot of lumber for cribbing inside the tunnels. In 1899, United States Mining Company acquired the Old Jordan, Telegraph, Nez Perce, and many other adjacent claims. In 1901, they'll start construction on that large copper smelter at Midville. They'll add a lead smelter in 1905. We just had a video on that Midville smelter. You might want to check that out. In the picture to the back of the transfer station, you can see an ore chute coming from the opposite direction. Stanford map labeled tramway to the ore on the hillside. Coming into the back of that building, it's labeled ore tramway on trestle. I guess all feeding this aerial tram. I wonder what mines these tramways was coming from. The map shows there were many mines in this region. The U.S. mine owned the Telegraph mine, and that was up in Bear Gulch. That could be one of them. So here's another ore loading station to the left. This is the smaller one with the vertical siding. Now it's loading gondola cars from the Copper Belt Railroad on that small spur, possibly not part of that U.S. mine. Now look over to the right. Notice the snow shed covering the tram lines. It's because they was coming so close to that hillside. We have some later pictures of that snow shed. Now this is looking up the gulch. Look how far up you can see up there. That's Galena Gulch. This later picture shows that snow shed, but this one has the Utah Copper H dump line trestle running right over the transfer station or the head house. The H dump line trestle shows up in the 1913 Stamboard map. Here's two panoramic views of that whole area. Then we're going to piece the whole thing together. Then a much later picture shows Copperfield and a piece of that old Copper Belt trestle where the head house once was. So that's another great picture of mining and railroading in Upper Bingham Canyon.